Welcome to We Don't Color on the Dog. I'm Rick Outzen. We've got with the state representative Alex Andrade. Alex, thank you for coming on.
Hey, Rick.
You've got a new bill out, HB 436. It involves public records, but it's not just about me having trouble getting public records. State lawmakers are having trouble. Talk about it.
Yeah, Rick. So I've had an issue with public records compliance for a while now. And I mean, I have, personal experiences not only as a legislator, but also as a lawyer. I had a city official in Milton doggedly refuse to produce public records for well over a year and, fight tooth and nail at every step of the way just to, engage in a conversation in good faith to try and resolve her public records compliance. So the concept of this bill is really to spell out in greater detail, in more definitive detail, what it means to comply with the Public Records Act in good faith. There's been a lot of coverage of this bill because, it's kind of a public secret. It's not much of a secret at all that Governor DeSantis doesn't think much of public transparency and doesn't really care about complying with the Public Records Act. There's a litany of stories of folks who've asked for records from any number of state agencies and they've just been ignored. And I, as a legislator, same thing. I've asked for records from the governor's office, from state agencies, and they just sit on them. They ignore it. In fact, I heard one story of a state official saying they don't even bother looking at the request until they receive some notice from the requester that they intend to sue them. That is not a healthy system. It doesn't improve transparency. It doesn't instill any trust in government. I think if you're not focused on safeguarding the public trust, what are you in public office for?
Well, in the role of the legislature and the committees is to approve budgets and to approve policy. And if you don't have the data that backs up what they're asking for, it makes it really difficult to make a good decision. And I know you're not the only one. I think last year we had several committees that brought department heads before them, asked for information, and didn't get the information.
Well, and I think the worst example was James Uthmeyer and the Attorney General's office. Not only did they ignore public records requests for months, but when they did finally compile these records that people had been asking for months, they treated it like some kind of asset that they could trade on.
Mm-hmm.
They gave it to one reporter and said, we're not going to give this to anybody else for 2 weeks. We're going to give you an exclusive. And by the way, here's exactly what to think about these records that
Right.
we're giving
Yeah.
you. I mean,
Right. This is what we gave you. This
you
is what it
don't
means.
you don't get to treat public records like some asset that's yours to play with. It's not your property. It's the public's property. You don't get to trade on it like that. And the fact that our Attorney General's office was the one doing that was, I found, the most offensive, just because the Attorney General's office is the one that's supposed to be telling everyone else how to comply with this stuff.
Right. They actually write the manual, publish the manual. Now, what does your bill do?
Well, it essentially takes what should be common sense if you're trying to comply in good faith and spells it out more explicitly in statute. I think the biggest thing is that in addition to just confirming receipt, right? So, like if I send a public records request via email, a lot of times there'll be an automated message confirming receipt. Well, that satisfies the statute and that's great. But after that automated email, oftentimes you won't get any other response for weeks or months, if ever. So what the bill says is that in addition to confirming receipt, you need to, within 3 days of receiving the public records request, respond in good faith with either the records themselves, if you can easily obtain them, or some type of good faith estimate of the amount of time it's going to take to comply with the public records request and the potential costs in good faith calculated. It's designed to force these agencies, these government entities, to actually engage with the person requesting these records to move compliance and production of these records in the right direction. It also requires that if you're going to reject or deny a public records request, you got to explicitly spell out by statute the reasons why you don't think you have to produce public records in your possession.
I like this, Alex, because I know on my end and with the newspaper over the years, well, you have to respond in a timely basis. Typically, we'll usually give a week, sometimes 10 days, and then we start really putting the pressure on. And oftentimes we don't really hear a lot back, or we get an astronomical invoice for records that are fairly digital, really don't require much manipulation at all. It's just you've got it in a folder, you can send it to us. And people have created these really complicated online open record systems that
Well,
aren't
I
really
mean,
necessary.
go try and ask for public records from the Department of Children and Families, Florida's DCF. They require you. It's a required field that you enter your full name and all this other information that the statute says you can't require. But their automated field that you have to fill out to submit a request requires you to fill it out. Otherwise, you can't click send. It's stuff like that. It's common sense stuff that, any lawyer at all involved in any type of government entity in Florida is aware. Like, you can't demand the name of somebody making a public records request. And yet we have state agencies that just don't seem to care about complying with that.
Yeah, it's really bizarre, and I'm glad to see this. Hopefully you'll get some legs on it. It seems that it would be in the lawmakers' best interest to have this, as well as for us in the media and really for the public to be able to get records that they're entitled to.
Yeah. And I mean, I'm not insensitive to the fact that some agencies are burdened and some smaller, government entities are burdened when they get a ton of public records requests in. The bill's not, it's not like there's no like automatic trigger that it results in like some kind of technical payday for anybody.
Right.
It's just comply in good faith, show that you're trying to comply in good faith, and you're still clear. Unfortunately, right now, because we don't have enough spelled out in statute, even when you get to the point where you're filing a lawsuit because someone obviously delayed in providing their public records, they can drag that lawsuit out for years if they want to, with trying to make any number of arguments to the contrary. And again, that defeats the purpose as well. This is supposed to be an expedited process. We're supposed to put a premium on transparency. And instead, right now, it's all these delays and the difficulty of getting them, some government officials see it as a feature and not a bug.
Well, thank you for doing this. We'll keep an eye on it this time, and hope you have a great Thanksgiving, Alex.
You too, Rick. Thank you.
All right, take care.
Thanks for watching, and to keep up with what's going on, be sure and subscribe. Just click on the little dog to the right and click the subscribe button. You can also like this video and click on the bell, which will notify you of new content. This really helps the channel grow. We appreciate you.